Yo, what is up, guys? I'm sure you're probably confused at why there's just a jumble of cars just on my screen right now. I'm also kind of sick. I do have like a scratchy throat, so I'm gonna be talking in kind of a lower tone. Hopefully, I can still get all of my words through and all of that. But yeah, today what we're doing basically is we're taking inspiration from a video posted by Blossom recently, and we're doing our own version of it with a lot more cars. So welcome to Beast or Bust, a kind of spin-off of Blossom's Overrated or Overpowered, because I personally felt, and this was also voiced by part of the community, that some cars weren't covered that probably should have been. And that's what we're going to do today is basically just go through all of them. There are 16 cars to go over here, so this is basically double what Blossom did in his first video. No cars here were in Blossom's video, so I'm kind of just here, not necessarily to kind of just finish. I'm taking what the community recognizes as some of the best and worst cars and putting them into this presentation here to kind of show you, alright, let's take off, as Blossom says, let's take off our rose-tinted glass and let's just get a deep dive into some of these new update cars that haven't really been touched on yet. And of course, up first, oh, by the way, we are going in RQ order. So we're going to be starting with the Mitsubishi and we're going to end with the Hyundai. Or is it Hyundai? Someone let me know down in the comments. I'm quite in shit. I've been calling it Hyundai for ages. But yeah, the first vehicle up is going to be the Mitsubishi New Lisade RQ18 rear-wheel drive standard tires. It is the highest handling rear-wheel drive standard common at 72. It was previously the Mazda Cosmo from APGP. But the real kicker of this thing, it is low ground clearance. If it was medium, honestly, I think it probably would be an uncommon. But let's see kind of just how that impacts the performance. And as we can see here, we have the an assorted. So I took some of the basically highest handling front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive standard commons, and I just chucked them into this comparison. As you can see here, the Mitsubishi is the best on the car park, karting circuit, twisty circuit rolling, forest and Monaco G-force test. So it's kind of getting into the niche of, all right, you're winning a couple of hybrid tracks, but you're also taking some of the twisty tracks as demonstrated by the car park and, you know, the forest road. Some other well-known names in here would be the Volvo 800 ES all the way down here, taking G-force and hairpin, twisty road, fast circuit, Laguna Seca, city sprint, Monaco hairpin, and Canyon Tour. I do want to point out one thing. There is kind of a discrepancy I do need to go over. There are some tracks in here that you will not see very often in, say, clubs. You will not see Laguna Seca in clubs. You may not see City Sprint. There was an update to the campaign recently where they changed back a lot of the tracks. So there's just some very weird tracks in here that traditionally, you know, you're not going to see in a normal match. So we're kind of just going to focus more on the everyday tracks that we see, like car park and karting, and not Laguna Seca or City Sprint. So that's just something to know going forward. So here are two more comparisons. We have basically the meta or former meta of the rear drive standard commons, and we have a 1v1 with the Volvo 800 ES. So the first comparison up here, as you can see, car park, karting, twisty circuit rolling, forest road, and Monaco G-force, while the Volvo takes, as we mentioned before, G-force, hairpin, twisty road, fast circuit, and the likes. And, you know, shout out to the Lotus 7 for still being the best wet slalom car in here. And also, you know, in the 1v1, this thing is, you know, taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 compared to, so it's 7 to 9, but I think that's pretty even for a brand new update car that's probably going to get a lot more use than the Volvo. In, you know, times like this, I think it's good to see that, you know, the Volvo finally has some competition, because if this wasn't here, all of this would be green except for the slalom. Next screen, and that's why this thing's a beast. It's competent on, you know, the handling. It's competent on those handling tracks, and, you know, I'm personally naming it the meta rear-wheel drive standard common alongside the Volvo 800 ES and the Lotus, because the other two really didn't win anything. Even though they were kind of part of the meta, they really did not they weren't making a name for themselves against the Lisade or the Volvo. So yeah, this thing is going to be, you know, it's meta for, so definitely keep one of these around for common clubs if, you know, you're deranged enough to play that. And we're going to move on to the Mitsuoka Himiko. It is the highest handling common with the Honda Beat. It's okayishly light, and it's low ground clearance, so you're not going to be dealing with any ground clearance tax. So let's move on to the first comparison here. As you can see, it is basically overall greens for the Himiko. Car park, G-force karting, twisty circuit, rolling twisty road, fast circuit, canyon tour, and Laguna Seca. It's greens across the board. I do want to give, you know, the Honda Beat is taking indoor karting and both slaloms. The Cappuccino is winning rolling G-force. And surprisingly, we actually have a brand new hairpin common. Best hairpin common is the Alfa Romeo Spider Quadrifoglio. That went down from uncommon like 6 months ago. So that's definitely, you know, some sort of achievement. So the Arnold Bristol has been dethroned. But yeah, it's basically just overall domination for the Himiko here. If we go, I did decide to put it up to against RQ 20 and 21 uncommon real drive perfs that were, you know, kind of high in handling. And as you can see, the Himiko fits in right where it should be. It's top of common. It's gonna lose to things like the Steria and the Slingshot and the Kabura. But actually, it's basically the third best. It's like third or fourth best here. So maybe there's a world where we can see some of these. We can see some of these uncommons, well, the 280ZX, the 2 Janettas, and the Chevrolet. There could be a world where those do fall down to common, but we will have to see. We don't know what Robin has cooked up in his, you know, cocaine wreck of an HQ over in London. And yeah, this thing is the common twisty meta alongside the Honda Beat and the Cappuccino, if I guess you want to consider that. Definitely keep a couple of them around for, you know, common twisty clubs. Next car is going to be the Suzuki Concept Kizashi. This one's really interesting. 10.1 seconds to 60, but 79 handling. It's basically the it's the polar opposite of the Vectra. It's 76 handling, but it's like a little faster to 60. But the main kicker of this thing that drags it down is it's low ground clearance. The Kizashi 2 concept that also came with APR is high ground clearance. That's gonna, you know, provide a little bit more of a niche on city streets and even the motocross if you're insane enough to put it there. But yeah, taking a look at these comparisons, to Kizashi kind of just loses in the first comparison, at least, is all the four-wheel drive performance on commons. It just kind of gets slaughtered by, you know, the Vauxhall Vectra that I mentioned earlier. But it is winning car park, G-force, karting, and Monaco G-force. It's not winning the slalom. It's losing the slalom to the Suzuki Alto, which is not surprising. The Kizashi is heavy as fuck. If we go back, oh, I gotta fucking configure that. If we go back, yeah, it's 1,400 kilograms. But when it comes down to Asia Pacific Revival, it takes the majority of the wins against the Kizashi 2. The Kizashi 2 only wins hairpin, twisty road, and all of the faster tracks, such as Canyon Tour, Cathedral, and both city streets, you know, because the Kizashi is low ground clearance. I'm gonna put it like it's pretty above average because, you know, it is the top dog in the APR tag. But it being low ground clearance and it weighing as much as it does, I think definitely kind of brings down the potential for this thing. There's a world where it could be corrected to medium, but I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to happen because ground clearance is not a thing that's tweaked that often. But the handling definitely does come into play when it needs to because it'll win car park G-force karting and the Monaco G-force. Moving on, we have the Suzuki Cappuccino, which is basically the newest and best competitor we've had so far for the Mazda NRA that came with APGP. 85 top speed, 8.0, 78, and it's relatively light at 725 kilograms. Let's see how it performs. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it does a couple things. It wins the hairpin road and the indoor karting, and the NRA just sweeps everything else twisty, and all of the fast tracks do go to the Mitsubishi Starion Turbo, not the GSR3, just the normal turbo. And if we scroll to the next comparison here, this is within the Mono Drive performance and commons for Asia Pacific Revival. it's, you know, it kind of dominates everywhere, and then the Himiko will go and take all of the fast tracks because, you know, that kind of has top speed and a little bit more MRA. I think that's it. Yeah, so it's the second best Japanese twisty under the NRA. I think it took the place of the Sylvia before. No, the Starions, I think, were better. We'll go back. Hold on. Yeah, this RX-7 here, I actually got a handling buff. Yeah, this thing's not the best anymore. I don't know. It's a big opinion to say that thing's not really worth it anymore. But yeah, oh, it's also the best hairpin uncommon and best indoor karting uncommon. You can take a look at these two comparisons here. They're both snipped using the best of feature on TDR. Yeah, so it took the hairpin king from the Geostorm and took the indoor karting king from the NRA, actually. So it did actually manage to take a win, a former win. It took something away from the NRA, which is always nice to see. I actually thought the time was incorrect because it's winning by a quarter of a second, but I had this thing maxed. I had it maxed before I actually started working on this video. And yeah, the time is correct. It's not going to be fully beast mode, but I definitely think it's up there because it's now 2 meta tracks in uncommon, and it's also the second best Japanese twisty under the NRA, as previously mentioned. So yeah, definitely one you want to have in your garage at some point, especially for the trials coming up if they're a thing. We'll talk about that in another video probably. And now we have the Suzuki S-Cross, which is one of the weirdest cars on this list. It's high ground clearance. It doesn't weigh as much as it should, and it also has 75 MRA. You know, that's normal for a 2020s Japanese SUV. If we go here, it puts that MRA to good use. RQ28 front wheel drive standard, medium, and high ground clearance. It's like anything that has a straight, this thing absolutely claps on. Winning the car park, winning the karting circuit, winning the twisty rolling, twisty road, fast circuit, Laguna Seca, city sprint, forest road, Monaco G-Force, Monaco hairpin, and canyon tour, and both wet city streets. It probably should have won Cathedral in my opinion, but you know what? It sucks to suck. It doesn't win everything. The slalom and the G-Force go to the Lancia Delta. Yeah, this thing's putting its MRA to good use. The next, like on the fast circuit, the next competitor is over a second faster. It's the Mitsuoka Galu here. It's over a second slower than the Suzuki S-Cross, and Laguna Seca, it's the Suzuki Grand Vitara, which is over 2 seconds slower. On the city sprint, this one's actually closing in. That's actually a pretty close time. But you know what? It's fine. It's crazy good for what it is. I think, what, did I just copy the same? Hold on. Oh yeah, so we added in RQ29s, and this is kind of when I realized, oh hey, the front wheel drive stand-up meta has kind of, you know, become a crazy thing. Over here, it's still winning the twisty road, the fast circuit, Laguna Seca, and the forest road. But we have added 3 new APR cars. We added the CRX, the Kona, and the Venue. 2 of those will be covered later on in the video because they're both pretty important to talk about. But yeah, as long as this thing is winning those kind of key track sets here, this thing is going to be pretty much... Oh yeah, there's another comparison here. This is Asia Pacific Rival front wheel drive standard, assorted by, you know, I think handling is what it's by, because you can see the Suzuki is the second best, and it's RQ23. But yeah, the CRX, the Kona, and the Vitara are the 3 main dominators here, with 1 win coming from the Hyundai Venue on the Newark Cathedral. Cool for you, I guess. But yeah, this thing is a beast. It is the new best wet fast circuit and Laguna Seca uncommon. Laguna Seca is kind of more obscure, as we mentioned earlier, but fast circuit I think it's definitely one to have under its belt. And here you can see the Ioniq 9 is one that Blossom covered in his video, where it was the what video was it? The first, the overrated, overpowered. So that was the only standard tire uncommon that I think he looked into with great detail. But yeah, this thing is kind of busted. You definitely want to have one of these around. It's on my wish list. Sorry. The Hyundai Kona Electric 48 kilowatt. It has better space stats than the AVGP Nexo. I thought that the Nexo was a Kona at some point, but it does weigh a lot. But it also does have high ground clearance. Let's see how it performs. We're bringing back an old comparison that we literally just saw. As you see, we're now highlighting the Kona. The Kona wins the hairpin, the city sprint, the Monaco hairpin, the Canyon Tour, this and the City Street Small. Taking that City Street Small win from the Suzuki S-Cross, actually. So, S-Cross MRI cannot pull through in this situation. And if we go into the next one, yep, it's that Asia Pacific Arrival. Once again, we're highlighting the Kona, Hairpin Road, City Sprint, Monaco Hairpin, Canyon Tour, and City Street Small. So overall, once again, this thing is a beast. Once again, it's one you should pick up. It's the best Canyon Tour, Wet Canyon Tour uncommon. Once again, another obscure track, but it's definitely still a car you want to have around. And now we have the CRX Del Sol SI. Featured, it's a Del Sol. I love the Del Sol, I'm gonna be completely honest. I think it's fucking sick. It's amazing. And this thing is medium, which is also really surprising. I thought this thing was gonna be low. It also has 60 MRA, which is okayish, and it weighs almost nothing. So this is just four-wheel drive standard uncommon, kind of just at random. But yeah, it's winning G-Force, karting, twisty circuit rolling, Monaco G-Force, and City Streets medium. This is also a place where you can, see the Kona again. Hairpin, City Sprint, Monaco Hairpin, Canyon Tour, and City Streets Small. Shout out to both focuses here for winning the car park, I guess. Kind of all I have to say about that. This is Asia Pacific Revival again, and this time car park, G-Force, karting circuit, slalom, twisty circuit rolling, Monaco G-Force, and City Streets medium. Those main tracks that it won early on in the last comparison. If we go back here, yeah, it's winning most of those that I just mentioned. This thing, once again, it's an absolute beast, and it's the new best wet G-Force uncommon. Once again, yet another car you want to have around. Oh my god, I feel like I'm going through this video too fast. Like, we're already basically through, like, what, 7 cars now? Yeah, this is car number 8. The Suzuki S-Cross Hybrid. It's the second best handling forward standard rear under the Wingroad and the Suzuki All Grip. And, to make complete sense, it has 87 MRA. Japanese 2020s Suzuki's. Am I right? Just 87 MRA, just pulling a number out of its ass. I don't even know if this is correct or not. I'm just going off whatever TDR says, which is also, in some cases, not a good idea. There's been a lot of incorrect times lately. Oh, and high ground clearance. So if we go to RQ3033 four-wheel drive standard rares, this thing is winning the car park, the twisty circuit rolling, and the forest road. Its main competitor here is indeed the Subaru Legacy. That just completely swamps it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14 wins just across the board. Even on fast circuit, this thing is absolutely dominating. And then we have the Suzuki Swift 4x4 winning, tying the G-Force and winning the slalom. So shout out to that. Next one, Asia Pacific Revival 4-wheel drive standard. This swing, it only wins fast circuit and Laguna Seca, but like just barely. And we will be talking about this Swift later. Long story short, yikes. This thing is honestly just very average. It does not, the MRA does not pull through for this thing. The MRA means nothing. This thing should be nerfed. I'm going to probably double check the 0 to 100 time after this. If I find something, I'll edit it into the video. If I don't, I probably didn't find something. This thing, I don't think, should have 86 MRA. It should be nerfed to maybe around 60, and then maybe it might have the potential to drop to uncommon. We'll see. I think I put this thing like ever so slightly above average for its MRA. Honestly, I think I probably should have dropped it a little bit. Next up is Suzuki Swift Sport SZR. I'm kind of hyped for this thing because it looks stupid good on paper. This right here means nothing, fourth best, but it weighs almost nothing and it's medium ground clearance. So if we just hop right in, as you can see, RQ33 alone, it's swiping everything hyper twisty. Car park, G-Force, G-Force rolling, indoor karting, karting circuit, slalom rolling, and twisty road. It's swiping everything away from cars that would have wins. The Suzuki C4 only has the twisty circuits and the cities. The 207 SW, fast circuit rolling in Laguna Seca, that belongs to that. The Stila winning the hairpin in The Steel and the Random 19 winning the hairpin, and then this Golf just taking random wins down here. Good for you, I guess. But overall, this thing chomps everything in Hyper Twisty. And then this is where things get even more interesting. This is, so these green tracks right here, this thing is peak. It is the king on until, so it loses car park. It literally only loses car park to the RQ36 Primera down here, and then it loses its G-forces and slaloms times to the RQ37 Ford Fiesta RS Turbo. I tested all of the 36s and 37s against this thing. It only lost the Primera and the Fiesta, which I find to be fucking amazing. This thing I maxed just based off of this comparison. I had 2 stock in my garage. I'm definitely gonna upgrade one of them now. Other one, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I think it's still sitting locked. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of how good this thing is for that much of argument. I mean, you can save up to 4 RQ. Probably doesn't mean much, but in clubs, 4 RQ can be the difference between you running like a shitty 57 and a less shitty 61. And you still, dominating the G-force and the slaloms. Yeah, this is why this thing, it's not going to be a beast, because, it's just a hyper. I probably should have made it beast. I'm going to be completely honest. This thing probably should be meta. The fact that it's keeping a lock on those hyper twisty tracks for 3 to 4 RQ is something I find extremely good. And also, it's medium ground clearance, so you can chuck it on city streets medium and you'll be fine. You won't lose by like 500 points. And yeah, here's the Suzuki Swift 1.2 dual jet. It's the best handling full jet standard rare with the wing road. It weighs almost nothing, and it has medium ground clearance. It wins fucking nothing. It wins the slalom. Which is, okay, cool, kind of nice. You get 1 track. Alright, sorry, I'm back. My cat knocked over my food. It's food, the food bag, whatever. But we're back. This thing is shit. Alright, let's look, go, see? Yeah, look, it only wins this long against the wing grid. Very meta car. Super meta, wins only the slalom. Yeah, biggest disappointment I've seen in a while. It's not even the best slalom. It loses to the Lotus, which I find to just be insane. Like, your 4-wheel drive, your standard, you're light as fuck, and you have traction and ABS. You don't win against a shitty Lotus. It's not shitty, it's a great Lotus. But it's disappointing. Especially losing to the wing road as well. Up to the Supras now. My throat wants to, choke me. The Kizashi Apex Turbo Concept RQ40 is front-wheel drive performance. It has decent handling for its RQ, but it is low ground clearance, which is wrong. It should be medium, in my opinion, and probably could be backed by another source. But if we go on, here are the front-wheel drive performance low ground clearance cars. RQ40 and 41, and we added the 42 Dardo to make things a little more interesting. It wins all of the twisty tracks, so I decided to eliminate it and put a green bar there to let you know if it was in the comparison, it would have won. But up here, wins, up in this top comparison, wins none of the drags, wins 0 to 150, which you're not going to put this thing on at all, and it wins Tesla, which you're also not going to put this thing on. But for twisty, it's okay. It wins car park, it wins both G-forces, it wins both slaloms and twisty circuit rolling. But I think the minute you include rares, it's just gonna get clapped by the Audi TT and the Lotus Elan. And then in the drags, it's just gonna, once again, it even loses its 0 to 150 time to the Audi, which I find really funny. Yeah, so it wins nothing in the drags, it wins nothing in the twisties, and we have a feature here from JK who actually pointed this out to me earlier. Yeah, it just wins nothing against these 3 rares. This thing is really below average. Should it go down to rare? It should. Realistically, it should. But I think what the 2 RQ rule doesn't provide enough buffer for it to physically just go down. Because this thing would be an RQ like, what, 38? if it were to go down. It's either this thing goes down or the Lotus Elan and the Audi come up, which is not possible because they would be 40s or 41s as well. So yeah, something that's probably decent for APR. I probably should have put that into a comparison, you know, APR, you know, performance tires in this little region. So something you should probably still keep around for APR, but otherwise it's kind of bad. We're on to the Ioniq Concept 7. I think it's just the Ioniq 7. Third best handling, super rare 4-wheel drive perf, if that means anything. And it also has 81 MRA, you know, which is kind of nice. So RQ 46 to 47, it wins Fast Circuit, Laguna Seca, and Forest Road. Which, you know, alright, that's cool. It has MRA, that's what it's supposed to do. The minute you include, you know, more based crap. Oh yeah, drags, forgot about this. Yeah, it went 0 to 100 in hill climb. Because it loses the drags to the Commodore, the Calais Commodore, and the SXC. So, rip bozo. And it's the best New York drag of the two cars in this comparison. So, womp womp. This thing, just average. You know what? It's fine. Something probably worth having, you know, for APR. But if you want something with MRA that, you know, can clap everything on the wet, just go with the Le Rouge. There's really no reason to drop all the way down and use this thing, or use another low ground clearance car. Oh, I've been doing so much talking, I think I might have a headache. God damn it. Another full drive perf from the update, Suzuki Concept S. 82 handling, the best handling super rare full drive perf. It weighs 1,200 kilograms, and it has, you know, 71 MRA. That's pretty sick. Is this thing any good? Yes, it is. Wins car park, wins G-Force karting circuit, slalom, twisty circuit, rolling, twisty road, Forest Road, Monaco G-Force, and City Streets Medium, up against its main competitor, you know, which happens to be the Mitsubishi Legnum VR4. And, you know, with a one rogue win to the Concept 7 on the Laguna Seca, GG's, I guess. But here, the 4-drive performance super rare meta, the Legnum is the only win City Streets small here, and the tarmac kind of just boots everything else. But the Concept S manages to win car park, G-Force, and slalom, and City Streets Medium, which I find to be really cool. So congratulations. And yep, 1v1 with the Legnum here. It's pretty obvious. I think the Legnum is going to be out of the 4-drive perf meta, and the Suzuki Concept is in. We'll have to see what other people think. I might talk to Tiago about getting my own meta thing set up. I'm actually quite interested. So yeah, this thing's an absolute beast. It's worthy competitor to the Legnum. Then the MRA is not a monumental thing for this. It probably can honestly say, and no one would care. And I think this is the last Supra, the Galu 2. It weighs 1,800 kilograms, has okay-ish MRA and medium ground clearance. This thing is really interesting though. It may look terrible, but look at those wins. Hairpin Road, karting circuit, surprisingly, Twisty Circuit, Twisty Road, Fast Circuit, Laguna Seca, City Sprint, Monaco Hairpin, Canyon Tour, and City Street Small. This is the... we'll save that for later, actually. But yeah, it's taking wins against the main competitors here is the BMW 325i convertible, which got a handling buff recently, and the Ioniq 6, and, you know, the Rogue BMW 320d Touring on the slalom. And we decided to include low ground clearance and high ground clearance cards. And you can see we have the Caterham here. And look at what the Caterham's doing. Wins car park, wins G-Force, wins hairpin, wins karting circuit, wins slalom test, wins twisty circuit, wins twisty road. Wait a minute. It doesn't win? It loses Monaco hairpin and Canyon Tour? What? The Galley, which is a heavy saloon, is taking wins against the ultralight Caterham? This is something that I never expected to happen, and I'm sure this is a big sentiment with a lot of other players as well. I mean, sure, Caterham will dominate all the twisty tracks, but for something where you need a hybrid, you say Fast Circuit, you say Laguna Seca, City Sprint, Monaco Hairpin, Canyon Tour, and City Street Small, the Galu will be a huge asset to you. You can't rely on the Caterham for everything, which is especially why it should remain, you know, it's going to always remain a hybrid twisty, but this is something that will properly boot out the Ioniq 6, I think, from this meta, because you can see here, it ties Monaco G-Force, The Galu's gonna lose Forest Road, but it's winning all of these. It beats it on Twisty Road. It's beat it on Twisty Circuit, Karting Circuit, and Hairpin Road. So I think it probably could boot the Ionis out of the meta. I'm not sure. It's something I'll have to think about. But yeah, it takes down the Caterham on Tracks to the Straights. This is definitely a Real Drive Standard Edition, and it's the new best Wet City Street Small Super Rare. That was a lot of words that just came out of my mouth, but essentially, this thing, really good. Should keep it. And yeah, and we're on to the Civic Type R. I don't know why I put RQ64 on here. Completely ignored that. I'm an idiot. I think I finished this off at like midnight a couple days ago. But yeah, it's average. Clio takes everything. Take out the Clio, it wins a little bit more. It'll win Hairpin Road at 323, win Karting Circuit at 233, win all of that, and it'll win City Streets Medium at 323, which is why I have mine at 323. I don't know what tunes everyone went, but if I get a duplicate, it's definitely one worth having two of. You know, even if it's kind of shit. Definitely for the update, I think it's worth hoarding both of them. This is the only new update Ultra I have upgraded, actually. So, fun fact, this thing is average. I didn't even put any features. It's just average. It'll do its job. It's a decent RQ62. It loses to the 63s and the 64s, and it'll win against 61s and 60s. So, nothing really more to say about it. And then the final car of the video is going to be the Hyundai Santa Fe XRT 2.5 Turbo All-Wheel Drive. It's off-road tires, it has four-wheel drive, it has traction control, and ABS. It weighs a fuck ton, but it's high ground clearance. How does it perform? Let's see. It's mid, honestly. But it's a mid that's actually kind of biased toward it. It loses to the Raptor everywhere on the dirt and the dirt wet, and also the Maverick. But it'll catch a couple of wins on the snow within this comparison. It wins the Hairpin Road, the Frozen Lake, and the Forest Road, which, you know, is something to take note of, the fact that it's able to take wins after consistently losing them to the Raptor and the Maverick. And the Bronco Raptor, apparently. The Bronco Raptor wins Twisty Circuit and City Streets Medium. Actually, I'm confused on how that works. If we go over to... Oh, yeah, and this is another thing. Korean off-road. Just Korea off-road tires. It's the second worst. But you're telling me it's a definite good middle ground between the rally cars and the ultra rare. As you can see here, I put it up against the worst rally car, which is the Accent. It'll win. It'll pretty much just lose to the Moab. Actually, it'll lose them up everywhere except G-Force Ice. Actually, which I find really funny. It beats the Moab on Ice G-Force. So nice little unicorn win for the thing there. And yeah, that's it. It's a Korean off-roader. It's super niche, but it will be useful because I've seen a lot of use out of those Korean off-road tires in events, especially when it comes down to Asian events themselves. When there's off-road, this thing might be something you want to pull out if you have it, because I know there's one guy, JJ, I think has this upgraded, and he's gotten a little bit of use out of it. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to double check. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I think it's like 35 minutes long. I'm not sure, but yeah. If you're here, if you made it to the end of the video, comment cold emoji face. This update is cool. I don't know. Viewer engagement. But thanks for watching all the way. I hope this was, a little bit more information to you. This is not in any way meant to be a video to take down Blossom. If I catch a stray from him, honestly, I'll tell you guys what happened. I'll probably have to talk it over, see how far I will take this. I'm definitely going to be doing this from now on because I heard through the grapevine that there is another update coming through the week of the 21st. So this is like, I believe 2 weeks from now. I do want to push a prediction video on what cars will make it, but that might be a little bit too ambitious. We'll have to see what happens. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys whenever I upload next. Peace.